So the two largest crowds I've seen here have been the Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris crowds as of right now, but Amy Klobuchar doesn't have zero support. So I wanted to ask her supporters, why do you like her? I'm genuinely curious. I think a lot of people are. Why do you love Amy Klobuchar enough to come out and support her today?
She's pragmatic, she's a doer, a planner, and she's reality bound.
So what specifically about her policies appeals to you the most, beyond her philosophy of more moderate progressivism or more liberalism?
I think her policies on gun control are very reality bound, and she takes into consideration all the American people and what they need and want.
And do you have any thoughts on that too?
So many reasons why I support Amy. One of them is that she wants to invest in important things for the country, invest in things like climate change and addressing that, invest in transportation, and she's somebody who can work across the aisle and not be stuck and only working with her own team. So she's going to be able to attract moderates, she's going to be able to attract independents, and most importantly, she'll be able to get things done and move things forward as president.
What about the argument that in 2016 we ran a moderate centrist against Donald Trump and that moderate centrist lost?
Well, it's an interesting strategy, and it's meant to appeal to the further left elements of the party. But I think that we should choose the best candidate who's going to be most successful in the role and the office. And she's simply not Hillary Clinton. She's very different. She's incredibly popular in her home state of Minnesota, and she wins by double digits in red counties and areas. And that's not something that Hillary had a history of doing. It's very different.
No, certainly. There is this call, though, from the progressive base for someone who's going to start the goalposts where the ideal would be and then work back, because, you know, the Republicans are not necessarily going to sit down with a beer summit and agree with everyone else. What do you say to that strategy of kind of shooting for the moon and then working backwards to more compromise?
Well, it is a strategy. It's not the strategy that I would absorb, because if we want to just take the White House for only 4 years, then we can promise things upon which we don't deliver. But if we want to take the White House and keep it for 8 years, people have to trust us. And Amy speaks with a lot of integrity. She's not simply going to tell you what it is that you want to hear, like that we can get Medicaid for all. We want to make sure that we have health care and access for people who want it, and make sure that it's financially accessible to people. But promising the moon is just going to undermine the party's legitimacy and people's trust in it. And it's the independents who are going to win this campaign. Once we get to the general election, they're going to decide who the next president is going to be.
It looks like Amy Klobuchar's crowd size was a tad misleading. I thought it was surprisingly bigger than I anticipated. You hear that cheer there? But a lot of them were staff, so when I tried to talk to supporters, they couldn't speak to me because no, we're staff, we're not authorized. And that was more people than I thought. So maybe I was overestimating just based on how many people were there, what percentage of them were actual supporters. Doesn't mean that support isn't real, and I was very happy to hear from those supporters about why they actually like Amy Klobuchar, because they had coherent reasons. I don't agree with their strategy, but it was nice to know that they thought it through and they really do believe she's the best candidate. Senator, I spoke to some of your supporters outside, and they really liked that you were a more moderate candidate compared to the other ones. But with the Green New Deal, with Medicare for All, these issues polling so well with the Democratic constituency, how do you plan on overcoming that and winning this primary?
Okay, so I consider myself a progressive in one important way. I like to make progress. I am the candidate that you'll see on that debate stage that has passed over 100 bills as a senator as the lead Democrat in just the last few years, including 34 since Donald Trump has been president. And I've done that by looking for common ground where I can on things like drug shortages, and then standing my ground where I should. And so I do believe I may be more moderate in tone than some of the people running for office, but I am betting that people don't want the loudest voice anymore. They've had that right now. That's the guy in the White House. That they want someone who's going to be honest with them and tell them that, no, we are not going to erase rich kids' college debt.